Ryan, the Ryan Express, the name that sent shivers down the spines of all major league hitters that ever had to come against him. The only man ever to have more than 5,000 strikeouts in a major league career. The man with over 2,700 walks, 5,000 innings pitched, and the first to throw over 100 miles per hour. The Hall of Famer. Lynn Nolan Ryan Jr. was born on January 31st, 1947, in Refugio, Texas. Ryan was the youngest of 6 children born to Martha Lee and Lynn Nolan Ryan Sr. Ryan's father operated a newspaper service, and young Ryan was the one to help his father deliver the newspapers. The young Ryan also enjoyed throwing various objects, but his father thought him playing baseball would be a better use of his arm. Ryan joined Little League when he was 9, and also played football throughout his high school career. But after 9th grade, Ryan quit playing football after a tackle and fumble caused by future NFL fullback Norm Boulash made him decide to focus on baseball. And thank goodness that happened, because that was the start of the birth of a legend. Ryan was already becoming a local legend in his hometown, with him ramping up to the legendary velo and nasty pitches. His final stat line for his senior year was a 19-3 record, 12 complete games, 211 strikeouts, and 61 walks. Nolan Ryan was drafted by the Mets in the 12th round with the 295th overall pick of the 1965 draft. This is a wild fact. Can you imagine anyone in their right mind now picking 294 prospects before Nolan Ryan? This is a round where no one actually ends up making it to the major leagues, and that's when Nolan Ryan was picked. Ryan quickly moved through the minors, pitching 13 games in the Appalachian League, with him mowing down 313 minor league hitters before being called up to the majors. In 1966, in Ryan's first year in the big leagues, Ryan only pitched 3 innings for the Mets, but Ryan was only 19, very early for a draft pick to make his debut in the big leagues. 1967 was the year that the Mets sent Ryan back down to AAA, not because of poor performance, but largely due to illness, an arm injury, and duty with the Army Reserve. 1968 was the year for Ryan to get on the mound for the Mets as one of their true official starters, while also throwing some relief. This was a great first true year for Ryan in the big leagues, as he had an ERA just over 3 at 3.09, 133 strikeouts, and 6 wins and 9 losses. During the 1969 season, Ryan was once again used as both a starter and a reliever, with his big plays coming in the Miracle Mets championship run. Ryan was now starting to really ramp up his velo, with blisters frequently appearing on his throwing hand, with him trying to heal the blisters using pickle brine and other strange remedies. Ryan's contribution to the Mets' trip to the World Series was paramount, with him not only throwing 7 innings of relief against the Braves in Game 3 of the NLCS, but with him also throwing 2 1/3 shutout innings in the World Series against the heavily favored Baltimore Orioles. The Mets went on to win the 1969 World Series in 5 games, but this would be the only World Series appearance for Ryan in his long career. Ryan would then pitch 2 more years for the Mets, with his 1970 season being his best, but his 1971 season being worse than many would think, as many fans at the time thought Nolan Ryan would be a much more dominant pitcher. The final stat line for Nolan Ryan's 5-year outing with the Mets was nothing too impressive for the future Hall of Famer, with a 29-38 record, 3.58 ERA, 1.39 WHIP, 344 walks, and 493 strikeouts in 511 innings. The stat line looked terrible to most analysts at the time, as wins were a much more leaned upon stat to determine the abilities of a pitcher. But everyone who doubted Ryan were all about to be dead wrong. Nolan Ryan was traded to the California Angels in early December of the 1971 offseason. The Mets traded Ryan and 3 other players to the Angels for shortstop Jim Fregosi. This was one of the worst trades ever made by a team, but at the time this was not unreasonable. But with the power of hindsight, we now know that this trade was arguably worse than the Mookie Betts trade, worse than the time the Cubs traded Lou Brock, or maybe, probably not, but maybe even the Boston Red Sox giving away Babe Ruth for cash. Sadly for the Mets, the second Ryan was traded away, he immediately began to blossom for the Angels. Ryan began to change his delivery and move closer to the batter with a long extension to make his fastball seem even faster than it was. Ryan also began to use a curveball more often to add more to his arsenal, along with his deadly fastball. Nolan Ryan led the leagues with 329 strikeouts, becoming an all-star and finishing top 10 in Cy Young. The next year was a legendary year for the Express. He threw 2 no-hitters and set a record for strikeouts that has not been broken to this day. The day was May 15th, 1973. The California Angels were set to face the Kansas City Royals, a good team that wasn't great but still better than the Angels, and Nolan Ryan was starting against Royals pitcher Bruce Dal Canton. This day, no one thought Ryan would throw a no-hitter, not even Ryan himself. Ryan says, quote, "In the bullpen, warming up, I was terrible." Ryan had been struggling with his mechanics. He had walked 7 6.5 innings in one of his recent starts against the Orioles, a common theme for the flame-throwing righty. Ryan quickly struck out leadoff hitter Freddie Patek, then walking Steve Hovley. This looked like the typical start for Ryan, striking batters out but failing to finish an inning when giving up too many walks. But then the magic happened. Sports writer Fred Down called it the most breathtaking fastball in baseball history, as Ryan punched out Amos Otis and John Mayberry. The rest of the game was focused on one player only, Nolan Ryan. Ryan went on to strike out 9 more Royals, then went on to deliver the first no-hitter of his career. After the game, Ryan stated, "I felt the pressure building on a no-hitter. I didn't really feel it tonight until the 9th inning, and then I was nervous." The Express would then throw another no-hitter on July 15th, 1973, against the Detroit Tigers, with a record-breaking 17 strikeouts, a record now shared with Max Scherzer for the most strikeouts in a no-hitter. This season didn't just end with 2 no-hitters for Ryan, though. He also threw 383 strikeouts. Let me say that again. 383 strikeouts. That is completely obscene and might never be broken. And the even more crazy thing was how he didn't win the Cy Young that year. He finished runner-up to the O's future Hall of Famer, Jim Palmer, who did have a great win-loss ratio, but also had 200 fewer strikeouts than Ryan. Nolan Ryan had a great 8 seasons with the Angels, with him throwing 2 more no-hitters in 1974 and 1975, making 4 All-Star appearances, having an ERA just over 3, 2,416 strikeouts, over 2,100 innings pitched, and a 1.29 whip. These insane stats were sullied by the Angels only ever making it to the playoffs in 1979, despite having Ryan all 8 of those years. Their bats weren't able to make up for their runs. On November 19th, 1979, Nolan Ryan signed with the Houston Astros in one of the largest free agent signings ever for baseball at the time. Ryan signed a 4-year contract worth $4.5 million, which is equivalent to $19.5 million in 2024 with the Houston Astros, becoming MLB's first $1 million player. Ryan was able to return to his hometown and play baseball for the team he watched as a child. Then, on July 4th at Riverfront Stadium, Ryan recorded his 3,000th career strikeout, the victim being Cesar Hieronimo of the Cincinnati Reds. Being only the 3rd pitcher to ever reach this milestone, this has shown how dominant Ryan had become. Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson famously remarked, "Ryan is the only guy who puts fear in me, not because he can get me out, but because he can kill you," obviously referring to the Ryan Express's fastball that clocked in at 109 miles per hour, when other pitchers were barely putting out consistent pitches over 90. On September 26, 1981, Ryan threw his 5th no-hitter, breaking Sandy Koufax's mark, and this being the only no-hitter he threw with the Astros. Ryan continued to dominate hitters, but still struggled with walks throughout his career. In 1987 and 1988, Ryan led the league in strikeouts while being 40 and 41 years old. That's when most pitchers decide to retire, but not the Ryan Express. He decided to keep on chugging. In 9 seasons as a pitcher with the Astros, his longest seasons with any team, Ryan compiled a 106-94 record in 282 starts, a 3.13 ERA, 1.20 WHIP, with 796 walks and 1,866 strikeouts in 1,854 innings. During the offseason of the 1988 season, Houston thought Ryan would not remain in his dominant prime for much longer and suggested a reduced pay. Ryan didn't see it that way and decided to sign with the Astros' neighbor just up the street, the Texas Rangers. This completed the Express's trip around all 4 of the original expansion teams and his final stop for his career. The first year as a Ranger for the Big Righty was a season to show he was still not done with his legend. Ryan led the league with 301 strikeouts and also achieved his 5,000th strikeout. Against the Oakland Athletics on August 22nd, Ryan struck out Rickey Henderson, becoming the only pitcher to record 5,000 career strikeouts. Following the game, Henderson was quoted as saying, "If he ain't struck you out, then you ain't nobody." And on July 31st, he achieved his 300th win of his career. The following year, Ryan threw his sixth no-hitter against the defending champs, the Oakland A's. The next year, Ryan would throw his seventh record-breaking no-hitter against the Toronto Blue Jays to cement himself into the record books for all eternity. Ryan would wind up spending 5 seasons with the Texas Rangers, and before the 1993 season began, Ryan announced he would retire at the end of that season. In that season, on August 2nd, Ryan would create an iconic clip that would last for decades. Facing the White Sox batter Robin Ventura, Ryan would hit the young player with a pitch, and as Ventura charged the mound, Ryan got him into a chokehold and began pounding the young White Sox head, until the catcher Ivan Rodriguez would break the two apart. Ryan later stated that this was a move he pulled on steers he had to brand back on his Texas ranch. Ryan later tore a ligament in his arm, which ended his career 2 starts earlier than planned. After his final game, he said, "On the pitch to Magadan, I felt it pop, and I had a real bad burning sensation. I tried one pitch after that and wasn't able to throw. The first thing I thought when I heard it pop was, I knew that I was done." Then, on September 17th, 1993, Nolan Ryan stepped off the field for one last time, got a standing ovation for one last time, and struck out a hitter one last time. In 5 seasons with the Rangers, Ryan had a 51-39 record, a 3.43 ERA, 1.12 WHIP, and 353 walks and 939 strikeouts in 840 innings over 129 starts. Nolan Ryan was later named a Hall of Famer in the 1999 induction. Ryan was also an 8-time All-Star, World Series champ, held the ERA title twice, has the career record for most strikeouts, most no-hitters, most walks, most 300 strikeout seasons, most years played in the big leagues, and the lowest hits per 9. For reference, if Tarek Skubal, who had led the league in strikeouts in 2024 and won the Cy Young, had 25 of those same seasons where he had the same amount of strikeouts, he would still be short of Ryan's record by 14 strikeouts. Nolan Ryan had his number retired by the Angels, Rangers, and Astros, being one of the only players to have their number retired from 3 different teams. Nolan Ryan is the embodiment of a wild throwing pitcher with insane velo, with Ryan famously saying, "It helps if the hitter thinks you're a little crazy," referring to his multiple brawls with other players and his 158 career hit-by pitches. Ryan's final stat line reads 81.3 WAR, a 324 and 292 record, a 3.19 ERA, 5,386 innings pitched, 5,714 strikeouts, 2,795 walks, and a 1.247 WHIP. This is a pitcher who will undoubtedly go down as one of the greatest pitchers to ever play the game of baseball. A complete workhorse, a strikeout machine, and an express that just kept on chugging. Now, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was a great introduction for those new to baseball, or a fun watch for those who are already fans. Have a great day, and please continue to support